And welcome to another edition of the Living Large Theater Podcast. I am Billy Santiago, along with my good friend of 37 years, Gary Rodriguez, our super producer, Noe Ayala. You can reach out to us on our Gmail account at livinglargetheater@gmail.com. We're available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime, and now on the YouTube channel. Just look for hashtag Living Large Theater Podcast. Reach out to us if you want to become a sponsor of this fine program. 956-451-1633. Rate it, share it with a friend, leave us a comment. More importantly, hit that subscribe button.
This is the Living Large Theater Podcast, the fastest growing podcast in the United States of America. You're on board with us, and we have a very special guest for you today. But first, a couple of comments of current events. That's, when people ask us what we talk about on the podcast, I usually say sports, current events, politics, and the arts. So a little bit of current events. I don't know if you saw it, but last night, Elon Musk and his Doge team, little bucks, young bucks, I think the youngest one's 21 years old, dropped out of Harvard to go help Elon do the Doge team.
Really?
So they were on Jesse Waters, the whole crew.
Oh, I saw some of that.
Yeah, and it looked like there was probably about 18 or 19 of these guys.
They were on a little conference table, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they have their daily meeting is at 10 p.m. every night. And they discuss what they found, what they think, what they're doing, and how it's going to affect the budget. So these guys they found out and they revealed that this government agency called the United States Institute of Peace was throwing parties for themselves. And what they would do, how they would fund it is when the government funded this agency, the United States Institute of Peace, which, by the way, all these little kids that work for Doge, they said when they walked in there, everybody in the building was packing a loaded Glock, just walking around the building in their little cubicles.
So much for peace, right?
And nobody knew what this agency did. So they were funded in the millions of dollars every year. And what would happen was all the money that they didn't spend by the end of the fiscal year, they would take those still millions of dollars left, and they would put it in a private account that was unauthorized by the federal government, and they would rent out Caesar's Palace, and they would rent out total stadiums, football stadiums, to have parties for themselves and their cronies and their friends and their smoochers and their butt lickers, and that they exposed this. So at one point, Jesse Waters asked these guys, do you ever fear for your lives? And they said, of course, we've already received every threat you can receive from people who are just raging lunatics who have no regard for the truth and saving money. And now, because of their association with Elon and Elon's association with President Trump, they're all on the board to be taken out. And I just think that's crazy, man. So the U.S. Institute of Peace was no Institute of Peace. And you're right, Billy. So much for peace. Nobody knew what the hell they did, but they were funded by the government.
But I'm just wondering who's the one that requisitioned the money to be spent. That's the person they need to find.
I think they know that. They didn't name names. I was hoping they would. But I think when you're on the airwaves, you have to be careful about who you throw into the bus, and you have to make sure that you do it the right. The good thing is they've all had criminal referrals to the Justice Department. So the Justice Department is doing active investigations, and they will find out. And hopefully those people will somehow be held to account or be responsible for it.
I found that very interesting, man. And
it's crazy.
And the waste that they're coming up with.
Yeah.
I'm going like, man, can you believe this?
And then the idiots on CNN, I'm watching only because I like to keep up with the enemy. But they got this panel, and the girl goes, well, Elon Musk says he saved the United States $160 billion. And then she goes, but is that enough? Is that really an accomplishment? I'm thinking, yeah, fuck mook, it is. $160 billion that we're no longer wasting or throwing away. Automatically, that's a good thing, and that's plenty. And
their goal is to find what $1 trillion or $2 trillion.
I think he said $2 trillion.
$2 trillion.
Yeah,
so.
back in the beginning.
So they still got a ways to go.
Oh yeah.
Even though he's stepping back a little bit, he's still involved.
At the end of this month, he's stepping back, and we're still trying to get him to come on the podcast, and I think we will. It won't be tomorrow, next
Have
week.
you got a response from his people yet?
I've been going through Cameron County Judge Eddie Trevino's office, and I think they put some feelers out there. But, for now he's busy, and I know when he does leave the White House, that whole group is staying. They're not leaving with him. They're staying.
Right.
And they'll be under probably Rubio or, maybe Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, is going to run this little group of guys, and she's going to say, hey, just because Elon's gone doesn't mean we want y'all to stop working. Keep looking, keep finding waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think, all these little kids, they should be up for maybe even the Nobel Peace Prize, just based on what they're doing. And they're rooting out a lot of rot. The shit that we were funding, condoms in Guatemala, they don't even use condoms down there.
Drag shows in some foreign country.
Transvestite procedures in Peru. The study of homosexual llamas in Chile. I mean, that's just...
You made that up, didn't you?
I did. Okay. It sounded good. Hey, we want to thank our sponsors. We have White Sands Marina, man.
What's going on, Arnold?
I'm gonna wing their promo today just because I feel that if I read anything, it kind of comes across as insincere. So I'm happy to announce White Sands Marina has renewed their sponsorship of the Living Large Theater podcast. We met with them, and Arnold says, we love the program, we trust in you guys, and we like what you're doing for us. You're driving business for us. And, they have a great hotel. They have a great restaurant. They have a great bar. And they also have a pet salon. So if you're on the way to Port Isabel, or if you're on the way to the island and you take your dog and he gets a little muddy on the way back, stop by White Sands Marina and you can get your dog detailed just like your car.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we're coming up on our 3rd anniversary here in the month of, very soon. When, no?
May 10th.
May 10th will be our 3rd anniversary.
Correct.
Yeah, Mero.
Yeah.
And we're going to throw a little shindig out at White Sands.
That's right. That's right. We got to clear it with Arnold and Corina, but that's our plan, is to go down there and have some sort of a get-together. We've also talked maybe about a B104 reunion, bring in some of the old...
talked about that.
Yeah, of course, Brotherhood will have to be there. Let me introduce our guest today, Brotherhood, Joe Garcia.
What's up, Joe?
Hey, guys. How you guys doing, man? Appreciate
Hey, man. It is awesome having you here, brother.
It was been a long time coming, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate that, guys.
I mean,
Really?
Gary tells a lot of stories about you, Joe.
Oh,
Yeah, they're all good. They're all good.
They're
and they're
all good
true.
stories. But I know, having known you guys as long as I have, there are some really good Gary stories, and we'll get to those just a little bit. But go ahead, Gary.
Why?
Sorry to interrupt you.
Why? let me do some background on Joe Garcia. I met Joe when we worked at B104, and his gas station at the time was Joe's Texaco, and it wasn't Joe here. It was Joe's father, Joe Garcia Sr. And so at some point, the B104 vans, they were big banana-looking vans, and they were always breaking down because no DJ ever put oil in them. We barely put gas in them. And sometimes you could see them running down the road to a remote in Harlingen with 3 tires almost flat. And, we just very irresponsible stewards of that machinery. So I think one time one broke down, and we called Joe's Texaco, and Joe goes out there to pull it back to the shop and fix it. And I was amazed because we had an Econoline van. That was one of them. I think one of them.
Big vans.
Yeah, big vans, the Ford Econoline. He towed that van back to Joe's Texaco with a Volkswagen Beetle. And
that's right.
I could not believe it.
Yeah, we showed up there with a Beetle and a strap, and let's go.
And you got it back to the shop, and you fixed it, and you got it rolling for us, and, you gave it more years of life, and we continued to abuse it, and it was always there, too. So, we realized that we had hit a home run by making a relationship with Joe's Texaco in Edinburgh.
And we needed that relationship back in the day with those vehicles.
Yeah, so not me, I was a news guy. It had nothing to do with this, but I give props to whoever it was. Was it Roger? Roger K?
Roger K.
Okay, so we worked out a trade deal with Joe's Texaco where we could go to Joe's Texaco and get maintenance on the vans plus gasoline. You remember that, Joe?
I remember.
And we would fill them up, and then we'd go do our remotes. We'd go do what we got to do, and we always had them fixed at Joe's Texaco. So that was a good deal. And Joe, being the shrewd businessman he is, I think we were giving him, well, okay, so would we give you $5 of advertising for every $1 of gas, or what was the formula?
The formula, well, we were doing trade. It was 1-to-1, like everything else, right?
Okay.
But then Hedgeman came in.
Yeah, Jeffrey
Hedgeman came
Hedgeman.
in. Right. So then he's the one that set up the new contract.
Okay.
Right. So then I told him, you know what? I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So he's the one that said, well, you know what? I can give you $3 per every dollar.
There you go.
And then things changed.
Yeah.
It
got better for you.
Well, we're going to be on the air for a long time.
Yeah.
Because the amount of fuel that we're contributing.
Shitloads.
Yeah. And a lot of repairs, trying to keep those vans going.
And there were a lot of repairs.
Because we never even put water in the windshield wiper thing.
Yeah. Well, there was nothing there to put in there. It was that bad.
They were that old, man.
So we worked up a great relationship with Joe's Texaco, and then Joe and I I guess we gravitated towards each other. He has a beautiful family. Perla's his wife.
Perla.
He's got Nanette. He's got April, Tabitha, AJ. Those are his children. And to Joe's credit, Joe Senior is now kind of another of Joe's children because you take care of him.
Yes, I take care of my dad. Yeah.
You take care, and I honor you for that. I admire you for that because so many people will either move away, walk away, or just turn their back on their parents or any family member that needs them.
I could never do that.
No.
Me and Dad be together there at the shop, to be honest with you, since I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
So then from that point on, it's a love friendship.
Yeah.
Man, you know what I'm saying? And
It's amazing.
Right now he's 90 years old. And
90,
he's still hanging around at the shop, dude. He don't work or do anything like he used to because he's 90 years old. He don't have the strength like he used to before. But let me tell you, when something is going on and he don't like the way it's seen, he'll step out and come out to the shop.
Yeah,
or
he'll
come in the
snap out
office.
of it.
No, he'll go into the office and go, son, you need to go there and see what's going on over there.
Yeah, even now.
Even now.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's kind of still covering the back.
I remember when he was probably about 65, and I was younger, and I went over there, and y'all were doing something to my personal vehicle, so I sat on that bench y'all have out there, and I sat down, and I went, I moaned, and your dad comes up to me, he goes, what's the matter, Gary boy? And I said, we're getting old, fatherhood. We called him fatherhood. And he goes, I don't want to hear that shit out of you. And he dropped down, and he knocked out about 40 push-ups.
Oh.
And he bounced up, and I thought, my back will never hurt again. I will never, ever moan. I will never, ever groan again. And I've tried to keep that in my mind because he was already older then. Jumped up, knocked out 40 push-ups, and taught me a life lesson that hopefully anybody listening right now will get, is that if you moan, you're giving in.
Don't give up. Never give up.
Don't give up. Don't
Never
give
give up.
in and don't give out. Now, I think one of the guys that really helped propel Joe into the stratosphere of business is J.D. Gonzalez, probably one of the most insightful radio guys that I've ever had the honor of working with and working for. Now, y'all didn't hit it off right away because we brought Joe in, and J.D. had this theory that if I don't make my client unique or special, he's just another guy. So Joe comes in, and J.D. goes, when we're signing off, J.D. goes, Joe knows gas. And I looked at Joe, and Joe looked like he wanted to pound him into a fine powder. And so J.D. comes around, and he says, what's the matter? What'd I do? And Joe goes, I don't like that Joe knows gas. What the hell is that? And so J.D. explained to him, hey, if I don't say something like that to make you special, you're just like everybody else that comes around here. And I never forgot that. And we used that slogan probably.
No, it was Joe knows gas with service you can trust.
Service you can trust, yeah. But Joe didn't like Joe loved the service you can trust. He was doing backflips, man.
It just caught me out of guard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he's the one that actually named me Brotherhood.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Explain that.
I would say Brotherhood all the time when we're doing those live commercials.
Yeah. Brotherhood.
And, just Brotherhood every time I would, we would do those live spots.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he just started calling me Brotherhood. And from there is where it stuck. So he's the one that's.
You have Brotherhood TV. You have Brotherhood on some of your vehicles.
Yeah.
Brotherhood hats.
Yeah.
And Brotherhood apparel, merchandise. And
JD was a genius there, brother.
JD was the genius.
Where can we find all that merchandise?
You can visit it. There's a shop, and we got some stuff there that, or not, we can pre-order. No problem.
Address 311 or
No, it's 501 North
501.
Gloucester. Yeah, in Edinburgh.
Okay, so if you find that big new county courthouse, the one that's sort of leaning a little bit, go 5 blocks north of that.
Is that the problem with the courthouse? It leans?
That's what I hear. It's either it's either leaning or sinking,
Or it has moisture in it or something.
yeah,
right?
but they're in. They're in. That's good. We're not putting it down. I'm repeating shit I've heard out on the streets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and I'm not an engineer, so if I look at it, it looks pretty straight. But you know, engineers are saying it might be sinking on one end, but you know, we'll get a few years out of that. So we have a great relationship with Joe Garcia, Joe's Texaco, and you know, I've always, you know, I'm a creature of habit. I don't like change, and so one time I go in there in the office at Joe's Texaco, and he's on a computer, and I'm going like, Brotherhood, what the fuck you doing? You gotta update. You gotta keep up with the times. How did that happen? What made? Because you know, I was either afraid of computers or just didn't want to get into it. But you dove into it for the benefit of your business. What motivated you to take that leap?
Well, we knew that we needed to get a computer. We all had to get no computers, or now you're going to be left out of business. Period.
See, I was okay with being left out of it.
Oh, you were good. So you know, it's funny. I had a customer returning a U-Haul.
Okay.
He was coming out of state, and it ended up being he was a captain in the Navy. Right. So he came in, and we became friends. Just like we became friends. He came from the oil change. He goes, "How come you didn't get a computer in here so you can, you know?"
Wow.
And I went like,
I didn't know that.
"Yeah, I never thought of that. I mean, yeah. You want to? I'll teach you how to use a." And that was before no Windows. This is DOS back in the day.
No
back,
shit.
Yeah, back in the day,
The
dude.
green
So
screen and the
all that.
yeah.
Wow.
Bro. So he taught me the D or the C, semicolon, and all that stuff, you know, and
A customer.
yeah, customer. So
Yeah.
I went to his home.
Then he became your friend.
Yeah, I went to his home about maybe 2 months, every other couple hours, and once he showed me how to get around it, how to do all that, I bought one and downloaded an automotive software to management software. And it's really took off. Dude.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I was really interested in how this works. You know? So then I start by myself learning how they work, how they network.
And did it add to your bottom line? Did it make profit?
We can figure out what we're losing money. We'll figure out what,
You were Doge before Elon.
Joe, let me ask you. So now I'm sure you have the test equipment that you put on cars, and it's all computerized, and it shows you what needs to be fixed or what's wrong and stuff like that, right?
Things have changed through the years where we had a little voltmeter and we're checking voltage here and there. Now our diagnostic, one of my most expensive diagnostic equipment to check cars that we're talking about cost the shop $14,000.
Wow. What is that?
There's one of our Snap-on Zeus scanner.
Okay.
And that communicates with all the modules when we hook it up to a vehicle.
So when that check engine light comes on, we can take it to Joe's Master Service, which is the name now.
Right, Joe's Master Service Center.
Joe's Master Service Center. We want to make sure that you understand that. Joe's Master Service Center. We take our car in there. Hey, Joe, the engine light came on. What, can you check it? What do you do?
So sure, we agree on a price on the check.
Okay.
But normally, we've in the past a lot of shops, and we did the same thing. It was just the way things were. We would charge a fee to run a scan test. So when you go in there and you retrieve codes, right? But later on, when you really get into how these computer systems are working and how they send the message to the sensor and the sensor back, it's more than code reading. You actually have to look at data and how everything is moving.
Yeah.
So then you have to buy better equipment in order to access that information.
Yeah.
Not just a little scanner or little code readers. You can go to the auto part and hook up. Well, it can be this, it can be that.
Right.
It can be. Well, in our case, when they bring it in there for us to run a diagnostic, we go to the core of the problem, not just telling them, hey, you got these codes, we need more time to figure out what's going on. No, we go straight to the core, tell them, okay, here, this is a problem, this is what's going to cost, yes or no.
Yeah.
Easy, fast.
Yeah.
Joe, I've heard now that cars are now you have to go to the service with the dealership now because they're doing certain things that you're not capable of doing outside the dealership. Is that true?
Yes. Well,
what would that be? Give me an example.
Well, to a certain point, like Chrysler, right now, you cannot hook up a scanner and read the information because it'll stop. You need authorization to get in there, and by showing authorization, you have to make sure you're a legit shop.
Yeah.
Before you can go in there and start changing or looking at the
That's
data.
kind of a check and balance.
Right.
Just, you know.
Can anybody just do that? Or I mean, since you have a shop outside Chrysler, are you have to be certified to do that, or how's that?
In order for you to go and invest this kind of money on a machine, you better know what you're doing, correct?
Yeah. Well,
you're not going to spend that kind of money.
Too.
You're not going to spend that kind of money and buying that kind of machine, and you don't even know how to turn it on. So you know, so most of the time when people buy these kind of equipments, they advise them you need to go through these channels to get this machine to work on these vehicles.
Yeah, and it gives you authorization.
Right, and then
as long as the owner's there, I think you got authorization.
And they call it a gateway.
Okay.
You know, it's a gateway for that allow you to go in there and read the data. If not, it won't.
Yeah. So when Joe first started coming into B104, my office, the newsroom, was probably 6 by 10, if that big. It was a tiny little office, but I still run into people, and
they kept you in there.
Yes, 6 hours a day.
It's amazing.
He was in there in the morning, and he was gone by 11 o'clock.
He popped up like this.
I was gone.
It's
by
amazing
11.
what this guy can do with a newspaper and a typewriter.
Yeah, God, yeah. Joe is my witness.
I'm going like, and then I went like, bro, where'd you get that information from?
Well, where I was going is when you first started coming in, you weren't very comfortable. Really didn't. You're a quiet guy anyway.
Yeah.
You're a man of few words, and so I would have to kind of coax it out of you. And some people that I run into, they still say, "Hey, man." It sounded like y'all were in a warehouse knocking things down and throwing shit around, but it was usually just my trash can and a chair. We would kick it, and I would kick it and throw it and hoot and holler and you know, just kind of make it a little entertaining party sort of atmosphere. And I think that kind of helped Joe come out of his shell and actually be able to talk and connect with the people. And that's what he did. He connected with the listener about his service center and what he could do for you. And one of the things he always said, hey, man, let me help you get on to your vacation. Let me help you get your kid to school. Let me help you get to work safely. And most of our listeners here obviously are in the Rio Grande Valley. Noe keeps track of our listenership through his technical.
We have somebody in Thailand listens to us.
We got listeners everywhere. Most of them are here, and Noe does an analysis through all the information, like the data that you just said, but in a different venue here with our listenership. We have a dedicated core of about 5,500 listeners. Most of them are here. So, what would you say to people who are not here, who can't jump in the car Monday morning and go to Joe's master service? But they're somewhere in Thailand or Tyler, Texas. What would you say to them to help them meet their goals, to get the success that they aspire to, and to achieve their life goals of becoming a winner in life? Because you've gone from this to something really, really grand. But it has to be, what you've done has to be based in some principle that can be shared with others. What would you say that you can motivate people to get on track and get what they want out of life?
Never quit. Never quit in a dream. Just, you know, there's going to be times that you're going to fail.
Yeah.
It's part of life, you know. But don't stop. Keep on going.
Yeah.
I mean, we had our issues there at the shop, you know. We've been there for 60 years. Trust me, we had issues there, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever kind of issues there is, we've had. And you just put it in your back pocket and keep on going.
Yeah. What kind of customer is giving you the most hard time? Somebody who know-it-all? Well, it's this, Joe. I already know it.
Well, the guys that give me the hard time are the YouTube mechanics. Oh man, I have too much fun with those guys. You know,
the YouTube
mechanics. I love to juggle those guys around.
Yeah.
Yep.
But after they watch a YouTube video,
they think they're a mechanic,
and then they come to your shop, say, "Hey, Joe, look at my car, let me know," and then they question you
every moment. Yeah,
they know everything.
Man.
But now we've got a process there. When it comes in, we document everything.
Yeah.
We document photos. We document, even diagnostic procedures. And so if they're going to ask a question, it's even email to them or text them before they even get an estimate for repair.
Yeah.
So now it's not like, hey, it's going to cost you $29.95 or $500 or whatever to fix this. Fix what?
Yeah.
You know? And now things are different now. People ask more questions. We got the internet on our phone. You know, they can pull a code out and research it themselves.
You got the world in your pocket.
You got the world in your pocket. So before that even starts, or I feel that customer is gonna go that direction.
Yeah.
The questions are answered.
Have you ever? Let me word this the right way. Have you ever suggested that a customer just go somewhere else?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hundreds of times.
I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
Walmart's down the road.
I tell them, you know what, brother?
Yeah.
I think you need to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
it's not
But
going to
that's
work out.
that's after
Yeah.
days of patience with you.
Couple
right?
of
'Cause-
conversations, yeah. But everything is said on the phone. He never tells me that when he comes to the shop.
Yeah.
Everything's different when he comes to the shop and when we're face to face.
Yeah.
But on the phone, they have some words to say.
Yeah.
So I go, you know what? Let's just stop. You know, we're a grown man.
Yeah.
I think you need to go somewhere else.
YouTube
Let me ask you something.
mechanic.
Have you ever had somebody be like micromanaged where they want to go over your shoulder
Yeah.
and watch?
Yeah.
He bring his own wrench.
I went, sir, can you come over here? Yeah, can you sit over there? And he'll, I'm sad to say, but, and it bothers me to say this, but he'll never come back.
Yeah. It saves you time.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
remember.
we got a shop, dude. We got large things, large lifts. I installed a bunch of new lifts now.
Yeah, I saw that one in front.
Man, we don't want a car to fall or something to break,
Yeah.
and then we hit you or something.
Talk about your
happens.
staff. Who do you got?
Right now, I have my brother-in-law.
Okay.
We call him Güero. His name is Adan.
Okay.
I have a good guy there. His name is Joe Villarreal. He's been around us for a lot of years, even back in the day with the tow trucks.
Yeah.
He's been around us. In fact, he drove one of our trucks at one time.
Wow.
So he found out I was back at the shop in Edinburgh, and he came back, and he's been there with us. My daughters, Nanette, my second daughter, she helps us there. She actually runs the office now.
Yeah.
And we made a at the back office where it used to be a tire shop.
Yeah.
Remember we used to change tires right there?
Yes.
Well, now we converted it into an office where all the phone calls go in there.
Okay.
And then my other daughter, Tabitha, she handles all the U-Haul reservations and rental
it's a
stuff like
family-run
that.
business.
So they're in that back room, AC, computers everywhere, phones, and they're just. I don't answer phones anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done with answering phones. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm with the guys.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, I mean,
I know you don't answer the phone anymore.
I don't do that anymore, right? I don't do it anymore. My girls answer it now. If somebody wants to talk to me, request, hey, can I talk to Joe?
Yeah.
And they'll get me on the phone quick.
Yeah.
Because we appreciate that you're calling us, and we
Yeah.
appreciate your business.
Well, I got to tell you, I appreciate what you've done for me personally. You've hooked me up several times, and I feel guilty when I leave.
I wanna say that something because you're saying what you're saying. Brotherhood, you open a big door for us when you. Because the reason I got on radio because I was sitting there waiting one day to pick up a van for repairs, and he said, "Well, come in here, man, sit right here." And he was doing his thing with his newspaper, and I'm watching it, and I'm going, and then I'm just, well, man, this is cool, and I'm watching it, nobody's in the studio, dude. This is badass, and it's nice, right? And then he gets up, and then he gets a microphone, and he puts it like this, and he starts talking. And what do you go, Joe? You heard nothing but dead air and crickets. Am I right?
I remember that.
I remember I'm going like,
Wait, I'm also
You were
Joe,
a little
curious.
shy, a little shy.
I'm curious. Was he typing with one finger like that?
yeah, dude, like this, dude.
Yeah, he could haul butt on those
He
two
can haul
fingers, man.
butt, dude.
Yeah, man.
Man. So since then,
He still does that, right? Gary?
Not anymore. I'm a little more fluent there with the fingers.
all the positive stuff that you said on the radio about us really turned our lives around, brother.
Well,
you
it
know
was-
what I'm saying? And
it
then
was an
all the
honor
staff of all the support
yeah.
of the radio station.
But
dude.
it was an honor. We
It
took
was-
it
Well,
serious.
Joe, we had no choice, man. We had pieces of shits of vans, man. Okay, and
I'm not going to comment on that.
Hey,
They didn't start out that way.
I don't remember this one Saturday. Van wouldn't start. It broke down. I needed to get to a remote. I call you. You bring your U-Haul truck over. You haul the van over to the remote site. Drop it off. He goes, I'll be back later after the remote to pick it up. I
didn't
swear
know
to God.
that.
Yes, man. That's how far he went for us. man,
Hey,
back
Joe.
in the day,
Good.
man.
Hey,
yeah,
Joe,
we had some tight ones.
Was there a time when you just said, "I can't work on this piece of shit, man"?
No,
He
look,
never
dude.
said
Obviously
no.
not. If he has to drag it to a remote and then come back later and pick it
No,
up.
dude, I told him, dude, we got $3 a dollar here. We got $3 a dollar here. Let's fix it. Let's fix it.
Oh man, I remember. So Joe would come in. We'd do a spot every morning at 7:20, and my deal is I wanted to be entertaining, so we would throw the chair and kick the trash can and sound like we were in some huge warehouse. And
You would do that. I wouldn't do that. You would do that.
And so one time I remember that I told Joe, because he offered the $14.95 oil change for probably 150 years.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, long time. The $14.95 oil
You still have
change.
that?
No. Things have changed.
And so people started copying Joe. Other places did oil changes started doing the $13.95 oil change. And so, I had to draw a distinction between Joe's Texaco and these other places that, they were doing it. So one time I told a story. It was a lie. I said, Joe, a friend of mine went to one of those $13.95 oil changes, and he left, and he went home, and he found out that they forgot to put the oil stick back in.
I remember that one.
Jeffrey Hedgeman called me on the hotline, and he goes, I'll fucking fire you. You do that shit again, I'll fucking fire your ass. Because all the salespeople are out there trying to get these $13.95 oil change places on the air as advertisers. And I'm like, all right, well, can't go down that road anymore.
All a monkey can do is lose a dipstick. Dude.
But that was me.
That was funny. That
was me.
That was real funny.
Not Joe. So talk about your services. I know you do U-Haul, and trust me, I know you do wheel alignment because my son Tiger needed a wheel alignment on his car.
Why? What happened?
Just recent?
A bump in the road.
That's fucking funny. What else can we get at Joe's Master Service Center?
Well, you know what? And through all the years, I learned that I'm just going to focus on several services, which is going to be like oil changes. We've been doing oil changes for the last 60 years. We're focusing a lot on doing brake repairs and service. Also, alignment work, a lot of alignments. We do a lot of alignments. And, we've been there so long that we get older cars that come in and no one can align those older cars.
Yeah.
It's an old suspension.
So let me ask you something. The season's coming for summer, and I know that there's seasons for everything that happens to a vehicle. What are those things right now that's coming up for you?
Well, right now, what we suggest for everybody to do is obviously get their oil change, check their coolant and the engine coolant to make sure it's still within specifications. Get their air conditioning checked. Change the filters, because now these cars have changed a lot. There's not very much stuff that needs to be changed like they used to back in the day. Back
It's
in
all
the day,
computers now, right?
Yeah,
Joe?
back in the day we had plugs, wires, cap, condenser.
Solenoid. Don't forget the solenoid.
Don't forget the solenoid.
the freeze plugs too.
Yeah,
Huh?
and the freeze plugs. Yeah,
I hated those.
Oh man, yeah, especially behind the transmission. Yeah. Now we just have plugs, air filter, cabin air filter, brake fluid, coolant, and washer fluid. It's all there is to check. There's nothing else to check.
How much business do you get from the new courthouse, or even from the old courthourse?
I never focused on the business from the courthouse. I just
Well, I guess I meant like people have to go to court and they leave. They're coming over. Nah,
no, when they got to go to court, they got their things in their mind, not their car, brother.
not the freeze plug.
Not
right?
the freeze plug. They let that thing go. I'll just put a gallon of water and let's go.
That is awesome.
They got more stuff to worry about than oil change.
Yeah.
But I've never, I'm sure we did. And I've got some.
I hope so. I mean, they're so close to you.
There were some good people. I got some real good people that in the years they're still coming, but they're not working at the courthouse anymore. Things have changed.
Joe, do you all work on diesel as well, or?
I only work on diesel if I'm doing chassis work or brake work. But
Okay.
I don't get into the engine stuff because that's a whole different mechanic.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, what about the EV cars? Anything to do with that? Well, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, we're getting ready to start training on the EV cars.
Okay.
And because we still got another 20, 25 years of my years there at the shop, because Joe's is my core. So
Yeah.
I'm not going nowhere.
How do we find you on social media? I know you have a big presence on social media. As a matter of fact, Billy and I were guests on Rock and Roll James's podcast called PVT, Buddha Valley Talk. I loved it, man.
Yeah, it's good.
Billy froze up, but I loved it.
Like he always
They're
does.
ragging on me still, man. They're ragging on me.
So what are your social media outreaches, and how can people find you and maybe come see if you can fix them?
Well, you just, the easiest way to go and you'll find me here is just Google Joe's Master.
Okay.
And you'll find my website. You'll find all our information.
I'll put it up
all the reviews.
I'll put it up on the podcast once we.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'll put it up there.
You
as
know what
well.
I'm very proud of you about is that you took what we did initially. I mean, we got you going, and you got us going. You kept us going, but you've done so much more social media. Like you do commercials.
Yeah.
You have the social media outreach. You're a big part of Rock and Roll James's PVT.
The credit lies with you guys. You
Well-
guys are what started that, and Joe's. You know.
But
But you know what, Joe? You were smart enough of a businessman to see the potential. You
Oh,
just
yeah.
stayed on that track, and you just kind of, like you said, you started doing computers early on, and then
Holy mackerel,
you saw
you
this. You saw this whole social media thing start exploding. You go, I need to jump on the bandwagon, man. And you've done a great job with that, man. I mean, all the 60 years, and you're still
Yeah.
there on
Yeah.
Klosner, man. And people still trust you to fix their vehicles and to tow their vans when they go to do a remote and stuff like that.
I'm always going to give you guys credit. Anytime that, believe it or not, every day there's a guy that comes in. Hey, you're the guy who was on the radio in the 90s.
yeah.
And you guys have that credit.
Well, we
know what I
enjoyed
mean?
it, man. I took it as a personal responsibility to help you succeed because that was my job.
Yeah.
You know, apart from me liking you and us socializing and doing things outside of work, I took it serious that I think I can affect this guy's success or non-success, and because they let me handle your on-air presence, I took it very serious. I never wanted to screw it up. I never wanted to hurt your business, but you on your own after we ended that relationship on the air with B104, you kept going.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. I know they haven't asked you. What was it that you found inside the van that you didn't tell these guys before?
Don't say a word.
Hey, no. You're on the nose. You're on the.
Gary, I love you too much, brother. I'm not going to say nothing.
Don't say a word. I was just curious.
Oh man! Hey, quick story, man. One time we went to Mexico. Where did we go? Monterrey.
We went to Monterrey, yeah.
Yeah, talk about that.
Well, we went to Monterrey, and we were going on that. We had a catering bus, correct?
Yeah.
And it took us to Monterrey, and all that road to Monterrey, this Gary. Well, when I got my primo's cousin. We're gonna have a limousine waiting for us. Wow, dude, badass, dude.
This is Gary talking.
This Gary. It was me, Rio and Reyes, Pearl, my wife Pearl, and Gary. And Gary was flopping that flop all the way over there, right? So we get there. And a damn VW Beetle shows up, dude, with only one front seat with the driver.
For the driver, yeah.
And then it was me, Rio and Reyes, my wife, and Gary bailed. Boom! See you guys. Oh no, did you go in? Oh
I
no,
went,
you did
yeah.
go with us.
I
in
went,
there.
yeah, I went.
So I don't know where we gave them directions, and we ended up this palenque place, right?
A restaurant.
A restaurant, dude. So they invited us. So we went inside. We ate for free. We weren't even part of the people. I mean, I think they had another people coming in from probably the valley or
we
somewhere.
ate a delicious meal and we left and we found out we weren't part of
But we weren't part of the
but
team.
we thought they were waiting on us.
Oh man, I felt so guilty.
Oh man. Hey, Brotherhood, let me ask you this. Will you come back maybe in about 6 months? Because I feel you are a big part of my life. And I think that Living Large Theater can get on board and helping you again. And we want you to come back regularly and talk. And this is how special he is to me. We do our most podcasts on Thursdays, and we always do it here with our sponsor, Ward Thomas, Majestic Studios, Majestic Produce.
Yeah, thank you, Ward.
Thank you so much, Ward. Also, our other sponsor we just renewed with is Fred Rodriguez, the Texas sportsman. Probably remiss in not mentioning them too much, but I'll hit them up at the end here. But we want you to come back in about 6 months, talk about things, talk about your life, talk about your kids, talk about things that matter to you and that can transcend just, the valley. We're not just in the valley. We don't focus just on it. We're here, but we want to teach people and reach people that are New York City, Chicago. What are some other places?
We have San Antonio, Austin, Dallas.
And they may never come to Joe's Master.
North Carolina. We have a lot of states, even California, Oklahoma. We have a lot of listeners from
And if
all
they
around
don't come, that's fine.
US,
But I think you have something to share with them to A, get them off their ass. B, get them back on track. C, help them succeed as you have. And I just think that you've done so much with the little bit that we did with you back in the beginning. J.D. Gonzalez,
Yeah,
you know,
JD.
now he's vice president of what, CBS Records up in Dallas?
Odyssey.
Okay.
He's the Hispanic programmer. He handles all the Spanish stations for Odyssey.
And
Wow.
you could come back and tell us what was inside the van and what you found and all that.
That will never be unveiled, Noe. Don't you worry about that.
Hey, before we close out, let me give proper recognition to our sponsors. Again, White Sands Marina, that's in Port Isabel, Texas. Arnold, Corina, Flores, thank you for trusting us. Thank you for giving us great accommodations when we go there. You can make your summer reservations right now at wsnandsuites.com. Also, big times parties, thanks to Ward Thomas and Majestic Studios. If you're ready to cut your next hit record, you can do it right here in Majestic Studios. And also, Fred Rodriguez, the Texas sportsman, recognized by the Texas Senate as the premier hunting and fishing guide in South Texas. Joe Garcia, Joe's master, give us a words of wisdom right now before we hit the road.
And never quit, brother. If you have a problem, put it in your back pocket. Keep on going.
Tell us how we get a hold of you.
Brother, you can reach me at 956-383-1882 or visit my website, joesmaster.com.
Amen. Thank you so much, Brotherhood. God bless you. Good luck. And
Gracias, brother. Gracias.
keep on going.
Living Large Stater at livinglargestater@gmail.com. We're available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime, and now on YouTube. Hashtag Living Large Stater Podcast. You can reach out to us at 956-451-1633 if you want to become a sponsor of this fine program. Rate our podcast, share with a friend, leave us a comment, and more importantly, hit that subscribe button. Until the next episode, you keep living large because you know we're living large.
Big time.